Introduction. Have you ever looked in the mirror and noticed something that didn't seem quite right? Maybe your skin feels drier than it used to. Perhaps your lips crack no matter how much lip balm you use. Or maybe you've been feeling more tired, dealing with muscle cramps, or wondering why your energy just isn't what it used to be. Most of us assume these changes are simply part of getting older. And sometimes they are, but not always. In some cases, your body may be quietly telling you that it's missing important vitamins or minerals, long before a serious health problem develops. The challenge is that these warning signs are often easy to overlook. They're subtle, they appear gradually, and because they can seem unrelated, many people never connect the dots. Here's something important to remember. No single symptom can tell you that you have a nutrient deficiency. Dry skin doesn't automatically mean you're low in omega-3s. Muscle cramps don't always mean you need more magnesium. And feeling tired certainly doesn't point to just one vitamin. Many medical conditions can cause similar symptoms. That's why today's video isn't about diagnosing yourself. Instead, it's about learning to recognize possible warning signs, understanding what current medical research actually tells us, and knowing when it's time to have a conversation with your healthcare provider. As we get older, our nutritional needs change. Our bodies absorb certain nutrients less efficiently. Some medications can interfere with absorption. Even people who eat what seems like a healthy diet may occasionally fall short of essential vitamins and minerals. The good news is that many nutritional problems can be prevented or corrected when they're recognized early. In today's video, we'll explore 23 possible warning signs that your body may not be getting all the nutrients it needs. We'll separate common myths from evidence-based facts, explain which symptoms deserve immediate medical attention, and finish with simple daily habits that can help support healthy aging. By the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of what your body may be trying to tell you and how to respond wisely without jumping to conclusions. So, let's begin with an important question. Why do nutrient deficiencies become more common after the age of 60? Chapter 1. Why nutrient deficiencies become more common after 60. Have you ever wondered why nutrient deficiencies become more common as we grow older, even among people who believe they eat fairly well? The answer isn't simply that we're eating the wrong foods. In many cases, our bodies are changing in ways we don't even notice. One of the first changes happens in the digestive system. As we age, the stomach often produces less acid than it did when we were younger. While that may not sound important, stomach acid plays a key role in releasing nutrients such as vitamin B12, calcium, iron, and magnesium from the foods we eat. When stomach acid decreases, our bodies may absorb these nutrients less efficiently, even if our diet hasn't changed. Digestion also tends to slow down with age. Certain conditions affecting the stomach or intestines and even surgeries involving the digestive tract can further reduce the body's ability to absorb essential vitamins and minerals. Medications can have an impact as well. Many adults over 60 take medications every day to manage common health conditions, such as acid reflux, diabetes, or high blood pressure. While these medications are often necessary and beneficial, some may affect how certain nutrients are absorbed over time. Another factor is appetite. Many older adults simply don't eat as much as they once did. Changes in taste and smell, dental problems, difficulty chewing, living alone, or reduced physical activity can all lead to eating smaller portions or skipping meals altogether. Unfortunately, eating less may also mean getting fewer essential nutrients. Even people who consume enough calories don't always receive enough vitamins, minerals, fiber, or high-quality protein. Today's modern diet often includes highly processed foods that are convenient, but relatively low in nutritional value. That's why it's possible to feel full, while still falling short on important nutrients. Spending less time outdoors can also make a difference. Vitamin D is produced naturally when sunlight reaches the skin. As we age, our skin becomes less efficient at making vitamin D. And many older adults spend less time outside than they did earlier in life. Over time, these small changes can add up. The encouraging news is that many nutrient deficiencies are preventable. A balanced diet, regular physical activity, Routine medical care and appropriate testing when needed can go a long way towards supporting healthy aging. And perhaps most importantly, our bodies often give us subtle clues before a deficiency becomes severe. The key is learning how to recognize those clues without jumping to conclusions. Because the first signs often appear somewhere we look every day, right there in the mirror. Chapter 2. 5 Clues You Can Spot in the Mirror. When most people think about vitamin deficiencies, they imagine blood tests or nutritional supplements. But sometimes, the earliest changes are surprisingly visible. Your skin, your lips, your mouth, even your fingernails. These signs don't prove that you have a deficiency, but together they can provide valuable clues about your overall health. Let's start with your fingernails. White spots on the nails. Small white spots are one of the most common nail changes people notice. For years, many believed they automatically meant a zinc deficiency. Today we know that's usually not the case. Most white spots are actually the result of tiny injuries to the nail that happened weeks earlier, often so minor that you never noticed them. Less commonly, widespread nail changes may be associated with nutritional deficiencies or certain medical conditions. If white spots are accompanied by frequent infections, poor wound healing, or changes in taste or smell, they deserve a conversation with your healthcare provider. Next, let's look at your skin. Oily or unusually dry skin. Healthy skin depends on many factors, including hydration, hormones, genetics, sun exposure, and nutrition. If your skin has become noticeably oilier than usual, hormones are usually the first explanation. However, nutrients such as zinc also help support normal skin repair and healthy oil production. On the other hand, dry, flaky skin becomes increasingly common as we age. Lower humidity, indoor heating, hot showers, and natural changes in the skin all contribute. Nutrition can also play a role. Healthy fats, particularly omega-3 fatty acids found in fish, walnuts, flaxseed, and chia seeds, help support the skin's natural protective barrier. But remember, dry skin alone doesn't mean you're deficient in omega-3s. It's one possible piece of a much larger puzzle. Now, take a look at your lips. Cracked lips and the corners of your mouth. Most of us experience dry lips from time to time. But if your lips remain cracked, despite drinking enough water and using lip balm, your body may be asking for closer attention. Painful cracks at the corners of the mouth can sometimes be associated with deficiencies in certain B vitamins or iron. However, they may also result from irritation, poorly fitting dentures, fungal infections, or simply frequent lip licking. The important message is not to assume one specific cause. Persistent changes deserve proper evaluation rather than guesswork. Finally, don't forget your gums. Bleeding gums. Healthy gums shouldn't bleed every time you brush or floss. The most common reason is gum disease caused by plaque buildup. In rare cases, severe vitamin C deficiency can also contribute. Because vitamin C is essential for healthy connective tissue, fresh fruits and vegetables including oranges, strawberries, kiwi, bell peppers, broccoli, and tomatoes are excellent natural sources of vitamin C. If bleeding continues despite good oral hygiene, it's worth scheduling a dental or medical evaluation. Your mouth often reflects more than just your dental health. These changes in your nails, skin, lips, and gums may seem small on their own. But together, they remind us that our bodies are constantly communicating with us. The next signs aren't quite as easy to see. Instead, they affect something even more precious: your vision and your overall physical well-being. Chapter 3. What your eyes and mouth might be trying to tell you. Our bodies have an amazing way of communicating with us. Sometimes the signals are obvious. A fever tells us we're fighting an infection. Pain warns us that something needs attention. But other messages are much quieter. In many cases, some of the earliest clues appear in places we don't normally think about: our eyes and our mouth. These areas contain delicate tissues that rely on a steady supply of nutrients to stay healthy. When something changes, it's worth paying attention, not because every change means something serious, but because small clues can sometimes help identify larger health issues. Let's begin with your vision. Difficulty seeing in low light. Have you noticed that driving at dusk has become more difficult? Perhaps bright headlights seem more intense, or it takes longer for your eyes to adjust after walking into a dark room. Some decline in night vision is a normal part of aging. However, vitamin A also plays an essential role in helping the retina function. In low light conditions, severe vitamin A deficiency can lead to poor night vision. Although this is relatively uncommon in North America, people with digestive disorders, liver disease, or conditions that interfere with fat absorption may be at greater risk. Because vitamin A is absorbed along with dietary fat, fortunately, many nutritious foods naturally provide vitamin A or beta-carotene, which the body converts into vitamin A. These include carrots, sweet potatoes, spinach, kale, eggs, fortified dairy products, and oily fish. If your vision is changing noticeably, however, nutrition may not be the primary cause. Cataracts, glaucoma, and age-related macular degeneration are all common conditions that become more frequent with age. That's why regular eye examinations remain one of the best investments you can make in your long-term health. Now, let's look a little closer. When the whites of your eyes turn yellow, unlike many of the symptoms we've discussed so far, this is one that should never be ignored. If the whites of your eyes develop a yellow tint, it's important to seek medical evaluation as soon as possible. Yellowing of the eyes, known as jaundice, usually means that bilirubin, a yellow pigment produced when red blood cells break down, is building up in the body. This may occur because of liver disease, gallbladder disorders, blocked bile ducts, certain medications, infections, or other medical conditions. This is not something that can be corrected with vitamins or supplements. Instead, it requires prompt medical attention to identify and treat the underlying cause. The sooner the cause is found, the better the chances of successful treatment. Fortunately, most changes are far less urgent. Let's turn our attention to the inside of the mouth. Bleeding or swollen gums. Many people notice a little blood when brushing or flossing, and assume it's nothing to worry about. In reality, healthy gums should not bleed regularly. The most common cause is gum disease caused by plaque buildup. Good brushing habits, daily flossing, and regular dental cleanings remain the best protection. However, nutrition also plays an important role. Vitamin C helps maintain healthy connective tissue, supports wound healing, and strengthens blood vessels. Although severe vitamin C deficiency is uncommon today, it can contribute to swollen, tender, or bleeding gums. Fortunately, getting enough vitamin C isn't difficult for most people. Fresh fruits and vegetables such as oranges, strawberries, kiwi, bell peppers, broccoli, and tomatoes are excellent sources. If bleeding gums continue despite good oral care, it's time to schedule a dental or medical evaluation. Persistent bleeding deserves attention. A small reminder: when we think about nutrition, we often focus on what we eat. But just as important is paying attention to how our bodies respond. Our eyes help us see the world. Our mouths help us eat, speak, and smile. When changes appear in these areas, they're not necessarily signs of a vitamin deficiency, but they are reminders to slow down, pay attention, and ask whether something else may be affecting our health. In the next chapter, we'll move beyond what we can see and explore what we can feel. Muscle cramps, swollen ankles, lingering fatigue, and aching joints may all seem unrelated at first, but together, they can reveal another side of the body's nutritional story. Chapter 4. What your body is trying to tell you. By now, we've seen how your skin, eyes, and mouth can sometimes reveal important clues about your health. But not every warning sign is visible. Some of the most meaningful changes are felt instead of seen. Perhaps your legs cramp in the middle of the night. Maybe your ankles seem more swollen than they used to be. Or perhaps you wake up feeling tired, even after what should have been a full night's sleep. Many people dismiss these symptoms as just getting older. The truth is, aging certainly changes our bodies, but persistent symptoms should never be ignored simply because of our age. They deserve curiosity, not assumptions. Let's begin with one of the most common complaints among older adults. Muscle cramps. A sudden muscle cramp can stop you in your tracks. It may happen while walking, stretching, or even while you're sleeping peacefully in the middle of the night. Although muscle cramps are extremely common, there isn't always a single explanation. Dehydration is one of the most frequent causes. As we age, our sense of thirst naturally decreases, making it easier to become mildly dehydrated without realizing it. Certain medications, including some diuretics prescribed for high blood pressure, can also affect the balance of important minerals in the body. Magnesium, potassium, and calcium all work together to support healthy muscle contraction and nerve function. When these minerals become imbalanced, muscle cramps may occur more easily. Fortunately, most people can obtain these nutrients through a balanced diet. Leafy green vegetables, beans, nuts, seeds, dairy products, bananas, avocados, and whole grains all contribute to healthy muscle function. Regular stretching and staying physically active can also reduce the frequency of muscle cramps for many older adults. If cramps become severe, occur frequently, or are accompanied by weakness or numbness, it's important to discuss them with your healthcare provider. Sometimes muscle cramps are the body's way of pointing to an underlying condition that deserves attention. Swollen feet and ankles. Now let's move a little lower. Have you noticed that your shoes feel tighter by the end of the day? Or perhaps your socks leave deeper marks around your ankles than they used to. Mild swelling after standing or sitting for long periods is fairly common. Gravity naturally causes fluid to collect in the lower legs. However, swelling that appears suddenly, becomes severe, or continues to worsen should never be ignored. While potassium helps regulate fluid balance, swelling has many possible causes. Heart disease, kidney disease, chronic vein problems, certain medications, and liver disorders can all contribute. That's why it's important to avoid jumping to conclusions based on a single symptom. Instead, think of swelling as a signal that deserves careful evaluation. Supporting your circulation through regular walking, avoiding long periods of sitting, staying hydrated, and eating plenty of fruits and vegetables can all contribute to better overall health. Persistent fatigue. Let's talk about something nearly everyone has experienced. Fatigue. Not the kind that follows a busy day. The kind that seems to linger for weeks or even months. Persistent fatigue is one of the most common reasons people seek medical advice, because it can have so many different causes. Low iron levels, vitamin B12 deficiency, vitamin D deficiency, poor sleep, thyroid disorders, medication side effects, depression, heart disease, and many other conditions can all contribute. That's why fatigue should never be blamed on aging alone. If your energy has changed significantly and doesn't improve with rest, it's worth asking why. Sometimes a simple blood test can reveal a nutritional deficiency. Other times, it may uncover a completely different medical condition that can be treated. Either way, listening to your body is always the first step. Lower back pain. Finally, let's discuss lower back pain. It's one of the leading causes of disability around the world and affects millions of older adults. Most cases result from arthritis, muscle strain, spinal changes, or years of normal wear and tear. Nutrition can also influence bone and muscle health. Vitamin D helps the body absorb calcium, while adequate protein supports healthy muscles that stabilize the spine. Because older adults naturally produce less vitamin D from sunlight, maintaining healthy levels becomes increasingly important with age. Still, it's important to keep expectations realistic. A vitamin alone is unlikely to cure chronic back pain. Healthy movement, strength training, maintaining a healthy weight, and appropriate medical care remain the cornerstones of long-term back health. If back pain follows a fall, causes weakness or numbness in the legs, or affects bladder or bowel control, seek medical attention immediately. These symptoms require prompt evaluation. Bringing it all together: muscle cramps, swollen ankles, persistent fatigue, lower back pain. On the surface, they may seem completely unrelated, but together, they remind us of something important. Our bodies rarely send dramatic warnings at first. More often, they communicate through small, persistent changes that gradually become harder to ignore. The challenge isn't noticing these signals, it's understanding what they mean. And sometimes, one of the most surprising clues doesn't come from pain or fatigue at all. Instead, it comes from what you suddenly find yourself craving. That's exactly what we'll explore next. Chapter 5. When your cravings may be trying to tell you something. Have you ever found yourself craving a particular food and wondered why? Maybe you've had an irresistible urge to chew ice. Perhaps you've been reaching for salty snacks more often than usual. Or maybe you've noticed a craving that simply doesn't make sense. Many people believe that every craving is the body's way of asking for a specific nutrient. The truth is a little more complicated. Cravings can be influenced by emotions, habits, medications, hormones, stress, dehydration, and even memories associated with certain foods. But in some cases, unusual cravings can point to an underlying health condition that deserves attention. Let's take a closer look. Craving ice. At first glance, chewing ice may seem like nothing more than an unusual habit. But persistent ice chewing has long been associated with iron deficiency, particularly when it develops suddenly or becomes difficult to resist. Researchers aren't entirely sure why this connection exists, but the relationship has been observed in many clinical studies. Iron plays a vital role in carrying oxygen throughout the body. When iron levels become too low, the body has to work harder to deliver oxygen to muscles, organs, and the brain. As a result, people may experience fatigue, weakness, dizziness, shortness of breath, pale skin, or difficulty concentrating. Iron deficiency is especially common in people with chronic blood loss, certain digestive disorders, or diets that don't provide enough iron-rich foods. Good dietary sources include lean red meat, poultry, seafood, beans, lentils, spinach, and iron-fortified cereals. If you suddenly develop a strong craving for ice, especially if it's accompanied by persistent fatigue, it's important to discuss it with your healthcare provider. A simple blood test can often determine whether low iron is contributing to your symptoms. Craving non-food items. Some cravings are even more unusual. A small number of people develop cravings for things that aren't food at all, such as dirt, clay, paper, starch, or chalk. This condition is known as pica. While pica is uncommon, it should always be taken seriously. In adults, it has been linked to iron deficiency and, less commonly, other nutritional deficiencies or underlying medical conditions. Eating non-food substances can be harmful and may lead to infections, poisoning, digestive problems, or intestinal blockage. If you or someone you know develops persistent cravings like these, it's important to seek medical evaluation, rather than trying to manage the problem at home. Treating the underlying cause often helps the cravings disappear. Craving salty foods. Now let's talk about a craving that many of us can relate to. Potato chips, pretzels, salted nuts, a bowl of popcorn with a little extra salt. Occasionally, craving salty foods is completely normal. After heavy sweating, prolonged physical activity, or spending time in hot weather, the body naturally loses sodium through perspiration. Replacing those fluids and electrolytes is part of staying healthy. More often, however, salt cravings have less to do with sodium deficiency and more to do with habit. Highly processed foods are carefully designed to be appealing, making it easy to crave them even when the body doesn't actually need more salt. Some medical conditions and certain medications can also influence salt cravings, although these situations are much less common. Rather than trying to eliminate salt entirely, focus on balance. Preparing more meals at home, choosing fresh ingredients whenever possible, and limiting heavily processed foods can help reduce excess sodium, while still allowing you to enjoy flavorful meals. If you have high blood pressure, heart disease, or kidney disease, your healthcare provider may recommend a sodium intake that's appropriate for your individual needs. Listening to your body wisely. Cravings are fascinating because they remind us that nutrition isn't just about willpower. It's about understanding how our bodies communicate. Sometimes those messages reflect habit. Sometimes they reflect emotion. And occasionally, they point toward a medical condition that deserves attention. The key is to stay curious rather than jumping to conclusions. No single craving can diagnose a nutrient deficiency, but when unusual cravings appear alongside other symptoms, they may provide another important piece of the puzzle. In the next chapter, we'll move from the body to the brain. We'll explore how nutrition may influence mood, memory, sleep, and emotional well-being, and why these changes are often more complex than they first appear. Chapter 6. Your brain, mood, and sleep: the hidden side of nutrition. When most people think about nutrition, they picture muscles, bones, or heart health. But one of the organs most affected by good nutrition is also the one we rely on every moment of every day: our brain. The brain may represent only about 2% of your body weight. Yet it uses roughly 20% of your body's energy. That means it depends on a steady supply of oxygen, healthy blood flow, and essential nutrients to function at its best. As we grow older, it's natural to notice occasional forgetfulness. You may walk into a room and forget why you went there. Or you might struggle to remember someone's name until a few minutes later. These experiences are common and don't necessarily mean something is wrong. However, ongoing changes in mood, energy, sleep, or thinking deserve attention, not because they always indicate a nutritional problem, but because they can provide important clues about your overall health. Let's look at a few of the signs that often go unnoticed. Feeling more irritable or mentally exhausted. Have you ever found yourself becoming impatient over little things that never used to bother you? Or perhaps you feel mentally drained long before the day is over. It's easy to blame stress, and sometimes stress is exactly the reason. But nutrition can also influence how efficiently the brain functions. B vitamins help the body convert food into energy and support healthy nerve cells. Vitamin B12, in particular, is important for maintaining healthy nerves and producing red blood cells that carry oxygen throughout the body. Because vitamin B12 absorption naturally decreases with age, older adults are more likely to develop low levels over time. Even so, it's important to remember that irritability and mental fatigue have many possible causes: poor sleep, chronic stress, thyroid disorders, depression, anxiety, medication side effects, hearing loss, and social isolation can all contribute. Rather than looking for one missing vitamin, it's better to view emotional well-being as the result of many different pieces working together. When sleep doesn't feel restful, sleep changes are one of the most common concerns among adults over 60. Some people have trouble falling asleep. Others wake several times during the night. And many say they sleep for 8 hours but still wake up feeling exhausted. Healthy sleep depends on much more than simply spending enough time in bed. Daily exercise, exposure to natural daylight, regular sleep schedules, and limiting caffeine late in the day all play important roles. Nutrition may also contribute. Some studies have found associations between low levels of vitamin D, magnesium, or certain B vitamins and poor sleep quality. However, these relationships are complex. Taking supplements is not a guaranteed solution for insomnia. Instead, think of nutrition as one part of a much larger picture that includes healthy sleep habits, regular physical activity, and appropriate medical care when needed. If poor sleep continues for weeks or begins affecting your daily life, it's worth discussing with your healthcare provider. What about nightmares? Occasional nightmares are a normal part of life. They can occur during periods of stress, after major life changes, or even after watching an exciting movie before bed. Some people wonder whether frequent nightmares are caused by vitamin deficiencies. At this time, the evidence is limited. While researchers continue to study possible connections between nutrition and sleep, there is no single vitamin that has been proven to prevent nightmares. If disturbing dreams become frequent or are accompanied by daytime fatigue, loud snoring, pauses in breathing during sleep, or unusual nighttime behaviors, they deserve medical attention. Sometimes the issue isn't nutrition at all. It may be an underlying sleep disorder that can be successfully treated. Low mood and depression. Let's finish this chapter by talking about something that's every bit as important as physical health: our emotional well-being. Feeling sad from time to time is part of being human. But when sadness lasts for weeks, begins interfering with daily life, or causes you to lose interest in activities you once enjoyed, it may be a sign of depression. Researchers have found that people with depression are more likely to have low vitamin D levels than the general population. However, that doesn't mean vitamin D deficiency causes depression. Depression is a complex medical condition, influenced by biology, life experiences, physical health, medications, relationships, and many other factors. Maintaining healthy vitamin D levels is certainly beneficial for overall health, but it should never replace professional mental health care. If you or someone you care about has been struggling with persistent symptoms of depression, reaching out to a healthcare professional is one of the most important steps you can take. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom. A healthy brain needs more than vitamins. When we think about protecting our brains, nutrition is only one piece of the puzzle. Regular physical activity improves blood flow to the brain. Quality sleep allows the brain to restore and repair itself. Meaningful conversations with friends and family help keep the mind engaged. Learning new skills, reading, solving puzzles, and staying socially connected all contribute to healthy cognitive aging. In other words, a healthy brain is supported by healthy habits, not by one single supplement. Now that we've explored the body's quieter warning signs, it's time to discuss the symptoms that should never be ignored. Some changes require more than healthy eating. They require prompt medical evaluation. Let's look at those next. Chapter 7. Symptoms you should never ignore. Throughout this video, we've talked about subtle changes that may be related to nutrition. Dry skin, muscle cramps, changes in your nails, fatigue. These are all symptoms that deserve attention, but they don't always point to a serious illness. Some signs, however, are different. They may have many possible causes, but one thing is certain: they should never be ignored or explained away as just getting older. Let's look at a few of those symptoms now. Chest pain or pressure. Imagine you're walking up a flight of stairs or carrying groceries, and suddenly you feel pressure in the center of your chest. Maybe it spreads into your shoulder, your arm, your neck, or your jaw. Perhaps you become short of breath or break into a cold sweat. It's easy to hope that the discomfort will pass on its own. But chest pain is never something to ignore. While indigestion or muscle strain can sometimes cause chest discomfort, pain during physical activity may also be a sign that the heart isn't getting enough oxygen-rich blood. Heart disease remains one of the leading causes of death among older adults. The sooner it's recognized, the more treatment options are available. If you experience new chest pain, pressure, or tightness, especially if it lasts more than a few minutes, or is accompanied by shortness of breath, nausea, dizziness, or pain spreading to the arm or jaw, seek emergency medical care immediately. Nutrition supports heart health over a lifetime, but chest pain requires prompt medical evaluation, not nutritional guesswork. A cough that won't go away. Most coughs disappear within a week or two after a cold. But what if the cough continues for several weeks? A lingering cough can have many causes: asthma, acid reflux, allergies, medication side effects, chronic lung disease, or, in some cases, a more serious condition that requires treatment. Although researchers continue to study the relationship between vitamin D and immune health, no vitamin should be considered a substitute for proper medical evaluation. If your cough lasts longer than 3 weeks, continues to worsen, or is accompanied by fever, unexplained weight loss, coughing up blood, chest pain, or difficulty breathing, schedule a medical evaluation as soon as possible. Persistent symptoms deserve clear answers. Yellowing of the eyes or skin. Earlier, we briefly mentioned jaundice. It's worth emphasizing again because this symptom is different from nearly every other sign we've discussed. Yellowing of the whites of the eyes or the skin is often a sign that the liver, gallbladder, or bile ducts need immediate attention. It may also be related to certain blood disorders or infections. Whatever the cause, jaundice is never something to treat with vitamins or supplements alone. If you notice yellowing of your eyes, especially if it's accompanied by dark urine, pale-colored stools, abdominal pain, fever, or confusion, seek medical care without delay. Early evaluation can make a meaningful difference. Changes in sexual health. Let's talk about a subject that many people find difficult to discuss. Erectile dysfunction. Although it's more common with age, it should never be dismissed as simply part of getting older. An erection depends on healthy blood vessels, healthy nerves, balanced hormones, and good overall circulation. Because of that, erectile dysfunction may sometimes be one of the earliest signs of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, or other chronic health conditions. Certain medications, smoking, poor sleep, stress, anxiety, and depression may also contribute. A nutritious diet supports healthy blood vessels, but supplements alone are rarely the answer. The most important step is having an open conversation with your healthcare provider. Addressing the underlying cause often improves both your overall health and your quality of life. When several symptoms appear together, one symptom by itself doesn't usually tell the whole story. But what if several begin appearing at the same time? Perhaps you're feeling unusually tired. Your muscles cramp more often. Your gums bleed when you brush your teeth. You've started craving ice, and your balance doesn't feel quite as steady as it once did. Individually, each symptom could have many different explanations. Together, they paint a picture that's worth discussing with your healthcare provider. Rather than searching the internet for one perfect answer, think of these changes as valuable information to share during your next medical visit. Your healthcare provider can consider your medical history, medications, lifestyle, diet, and, when appropriate, order blood tests to identify whether a nutrient deficiency or another medical condition may be contributing. The goal isn't to worry, it's to be prepared. One of the biggest misconceptions about healthy aging is that every new symptom is simply old age. Fortunately, that's often not true. Many health conditions, including nutritional deficiencies, can be identified and treated before they become serious. The goal isn't to become anxious about every ache or pain. It's to recognize patterns, to pay attention when something changes, and to seek medical advice when those changes persist or become more severe. Healthy aging isn't about ignoring symptoms. It's about responding to them with knowledge instead of fear. Now that we've talked about possible warning signs and when to seek medical attention, there's one final question to answer. What can you do every day to help prevent nutrient deficiencies in the first place? Let's finish with the practical habits that matter most. Chapter 8. The best nutrition strategy for healthy aging. We've covered a lot of information today. From changes in your skin and nails to muscle cramps, unusual cravings, mood, sleep, and even symptoms that require immediate medical attention. At this point, you might be wondering, so what should I actually do? The answer may be simpler than you expect. Healthy aging isn't about finding one perfect vitamin. It's about giving your body what it needs consistently, day after day. Let's look at the habits that make the biggest difference. Build your plate around real food. When it comes to nutrition, there is no magic food. What matters most is the overall pattern of how you eat. Try to fill your plate with a variety of colorful vegetables and fruits every day. Different colors provide different vitamins, minerals, and plant compounds that work together to support your health. Choose whole grains such as oats, brown rice, quinoa, or whole wheat whenever possible. These foods provide fiber, B, vitamins, and steady energy while supporting digestive and heart health. Include healthy sources of protein with each meal. Fish, poultry, beans, lentils, eggs, yogurt, tofu, and lean meats all help maintain muscle strength, which becomes increasingly important as we age. Healthy fats also deserve a place at the table. Olive oil, nuts, seeds, avocados, and fatty fish such as salmon provide nutrients that support the heart, brain, and overall well-being. Instead of focusing on one superfood, focus on building balanced meals. It's the combination of healthy choices over time that truly matters. Stay hydrated. One of the simplest ways to support your body is also one of the easiest to overlook. Drink enough fluids throughout the day. As we get older, our sense of thirst naturally becomes less reliable. That means you may already be mildly dehydrated before you actually feel thirsty. Water is usually the best choice. Soups, herbal teas, milk, and water-rich fruits and vegetables can also contribute to your daily fluid intake. If your healthcare provider has recommended fluid restrictions because of heart failure, kidney disease, or another medical condition, always follow those personalized instructions. Keep moving. Nutrition and movement work hand in hand. Even the healthiest diet can't replace the benefits of regular physical activity. Walking, swimming, cycling, gardening, yoga, tai chi, or light strength training all help maintain muscle mass, improve balance, strengthen bones, and support heart health. Exercise also improves circulation, supports healthy blood sugar levels, and contributes to better sleep and mood. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistency. A little movement every day is often more beneficial than an occasional intense workout. Don't forget vitamin D. Vitamin D deserves special attention. Because deficiency becomes more common with age. Many older adults spend less time outdoors, and aging skin naturally produces less vitamin D from sunlight. Your healthcare provider may recommend testing your vitamin D level if you're at higher risk for deficiency. If supplementation is appropriate, follow the dosage recommended by your healthcare provider, rather than taking large amounts on your own. More isn't always better. Too much vitamin D can also cause health problems. Be careful with supplements. After watching a video like this, it's tempting to think, maybe I should start taking several vitamins. But supplements are not a substitute for a balanced diet. Many people benefit from supplements when a true deficiency has been identified, or when a healthcare provider recommends them for a specific reason. However, taking unnecessary supplements can sometimes do more harm than good. For example, excessive amounts of certain vitamins and minerals can interact with medications or cause unwanted side effects. Whenever possible, let testing not guesswork guide your decisions. Schedule regular checkups. One of the best ways to prevent nutritional deficiencies is surprisingly simple. Keep up with routine medical care. Regular checkups allow your healthcare provider to review your medications, evaluate new symptoms, monitor chronic conditions, and order laboratory tests when appropriate. Many nutrient deficiencies develop gradually and can be corrected before they begin affecting your long-term health. The earlier they're identified, the easier they often are to treat. Healthy aging is about daily choices. If there's one message to remember from today's video, it's this. Healthy aging isn't built in a single day. It's built through hundreds of small decisions made over months and years. Choosing a nutritious breakfast, going for a walk after dinner, drinking enough water, keeping your medical appointments, getting enough sleep, staying connected with family and friends. Each choice may seem small on its own, but together, they create the foundation for a healthier and more active life. Your body doesn't expect perfection. It simply responds to the care you give it one day at a time. And that's the most encouraging news of all. In just a moment, let's bring everything together with one final thought about listening to your body and taking charge of your health.